Bosserman. And this is American Mythology, folklore, history, and the stories we tell. In this episode, join me as I share a spooky story on the Southeastern Ohio Outdoor Show. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm Chuck Berry. My co-host this week is Doug Lindsley. He's here with us, and we have an amazing guest. I'm excited.
That's good, yeah.
I've known this gentleman for quite a few years. Dr. Luke Bosserman's with us, and he also does, will we say it's a podcast or it's just
It's a YouTube channel.
YouTube channel, that's right.
Yeah.
American Mythologies.
American Mythology, yep.
Yep. And he tells some amazing stories, but known this guy from scouting days back in the day, and
The good old days.
it was a lot of fun. Luke, you're an outdoorsman. The whole family is. I think it's a requirement on the old family tree there, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
You know, I always admired how self-sufficient your family is. Mom and Dad does the big garden,
Yep,
so there's lots of food there. They go hunting and fishing.
yep,
So does the brothers.
yep.
Yep. And they hunt for everything, don't they?
Oh yeah, deer, turkey,
Yeah.
squirrel, rabbit,
Hog.
hog, yep. A little bit of everything.
Yep. Tell me about your first, how young were you when you first started going hunting with your dad?
Oh, I've been hunting for probably longer than I can remember.
Right.
My dad, when I'm the oldest child in our family,
Right.
When he found out that I was on the way, he bought a recurve before I was born, little kid's recurve.
Oh, gotcha.
So had that waiting for me, and he took me out. I think 1-2 years old. He'd strap me to his back and climb up into the stand, and
Right.
I learned really early on that you were quiet, in the stand, and it's been a big part of my life.
A lot of fishing trips and
A lot of fishing trips, yep.
I like Tim and your brothers mushroom hunting, a little bit of everything. It's really awesome. I enjoy it when families do stuff like that together. The guys weren't the only one. The girls in the family would go fishing too, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, they were right there with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, hey, great opportunity for families to do stuff like that. I really admire what your parents did, and now you're down in Marietta as a dentist.
That's correct. Yep. Fixing teeth down there.
Fixing teeth. So
Yep.
you're in people's mouths all the time.
Yep.
My grandfather once told me that there's two jobs he never wanted. He never wanted to cut hair, and he never wanted to be a dentist. So he was a honey dipper. He cleaned out outhouses, but anyways,
Good thing
he had principles and morals. Anyways, that's what he did during the Great Recession. Was worked in a coal mine and cleaned out outhouses. So and was a wealthy man because of it. It's
I've heard there's good job stability in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of turnover.
Not a lot of turnover. Well, I know. How did you start this American Mythology?
Well, I've always been a history buff, and I've just grown up in a family, and another big part of, I'd say, my family, heritage and culture is telling stories. My grandpa was always telling us stories. My dad was always telling us stories. And quite frequently it went along with hunting,
Right.
We were never just out hunting. It was always, if we were out turkey hunting, there was this one gobbler, and he'd been out there for longer than the rest of the birds, and old Tombo. We were going after old Tombo, and then the story evolved,
Right.
His escapades, and
Crazy.
The illusion of him every season.
Yeah, so that storytelling was there, and then you couple storytelling with an interest in history, and what you land with, I think, is kind of mythology, that area that falls between legend and the facts of history.
Gotcha. I've listened to some of your YouTube channel and liked some of the history, and it's pretty captivating. You have agreed to tell us a story, and we're going to do something a little spooky tonight because Halloween's coming here.
That's right. Halloween is coming.
Gotcha.
This story is from Ragersville, Ohio, which is in Tuscarawas County. Okay. And I thought it would be a good one to share tonight because you can actually go up there and see some of these things that I'm talking about. But this story happened about 150 years ago, so we're thinking like early 1870s here. There was a guy known as Jeff Davis that lived up in the Reggersville area. We don't know for certain if that was his name because there were several names that he went by, and that was just one of them. But anyways, this Jeff Davis character, he was something of a vagabond, and he would travel from farmhouse to farmhouse, and he was known to do as little as he possibly could to get room and board. So he was kind of a lazy character. But if laziness had been his only flaw, that wouldn't make much of a spooky story. He had some other things that he was known for, and that was he was always out and kind of known for harassing the women folk around town. At the marketplace, on the street. Didn't matter if they were young, old, married, single. He was causing trouble, and as time went on, he finally was arrested in Reggersville for physically assaulting a woman there. Oh, wow. And he ended up going to jail for 4 years. Well, he served his sentence, and when he was released, he went back to Reggersville, and he had revenge on his mind. He wanted to get even with the people that had put him behind bars. There's a story there. There's an old restaurant in Reggersville called the Good House, kind of a tavern type place. And his first night back in Reggersville, he was eating dinner there. And the gentleman that ran the restaurant was a Colonel David Good was his name. And Jeff Davis was talking to him, and he said, something's going to happen before the night is through. And what exactly happened gets a little foggy there. If it was that night or later, he, according to some stories, he got back to giving the women around town a hard time, and even got to where he had scared a child and whatnot. And then, according to other stories, just the fact that he was back in town was enough to get the men of Reggersville angry and wanting to do something about it. And at any rate, it resulted in a warrant being issued for his arrest. Well, the constable of Reggersville was looking for him, and of course he disappeared as soon as the warrant was issued. Well, they found him in Bakersville, there in Coshocton County, found out that he was there, and they chased him, caught him about 6 miles south of Newcomer's Town. He was staying in a widow's house. And they took him back to Reggersville, and it was on Saturday, July 26th, 1873 that this happened. So they brought him back into Reggersville. It was nighttime, and they decided to hold him in the office of the Justice of the Peace until they could gather up enough witnesses to have another trial for this guy. Well, they didn't make it to trial. A mob of about 20 to 30 men bust into the office, shot out the lights in the place. Somebody hit Jeff in the head with a shovel. They shot him a few times, took him outside, tied him to a horse, and drug him off to the edge of town where they hanged him. And that's quite a story in and of itself. But that's not the end of the story for Jeff Davis. After he was dead, they took his body down and they went over the county line into Holmes County, and they buried him in a sawdust pit. And after that, the town of Reggersville just went silent about the death of Jeff Davis. Nobody would say anything. You go back and you look at the legal records from that day in the town, not a peep. Nobody was ever arrested. Nobody was ever brought to trial over it. And back in those days, doctors would get cadavers just by claiming unclaimed bodies. And at some point, this body in this sawdust pile, was an unclaimed body at the morgue. And a doctor came in and claimed it and took it back home to use as a cadaver for study. And I think he processed it down to where all that was left was the skeleton, and he kept that in his attic until one day his two cleaning ladies stumbled up there and then ran out into the street screaming, there's this skeleton in the attic. And anyway, so he sold the skeleton, and it changed hands between several different doctors in that area for a while. And then it got sold to this fella in Sugar Creek, Ohio, who bought it for a box of nice cigars. And the reason he wanted it was he had these coon hunters that were coming on his property, city slickers that were coming out into the country wanting to hunt, and he wanted to hang this skeleton up in a tree out where they like to coon hunt to scare them off. Well, his wife didn't want anything to do with that, so that plan didn't come to fruition because the boss said no, and he ended up selling the skeleton to an undertaker whose daughter was going to nursing school, and she used that for her study material. After that, it passed into the hands of a guy named Ray Hisrick, he is in charge of the Ragersville Historical Society. So if you want to see Jeff Davis's skeleton, they have it in the basement of an old church there in Ragersville, and you can go up there and see the skeleton. And I was up there a couple years ago, saw it, and talked to Ray. He's a great guy, and he tells me that they haven't had much trouble around Ragersville ever since Jeff Davis was hung. It's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, I bet. You have several stories on your YouTube channel, and some of them are pretty captivating. That's kind of cool, where you can grab some things that happened in history, kind of revisit it, and dig into some of the mythologies that kind of happened at that time.
Yeah, I love it.
What's coming up? What are you going to be continuing this? How do people find you?
If they just go onto YouTube and type in American Mythology, they'll find my channel. I've got, I think, over 50 videos up now, and still working on more stories that very few people have heard of, and some stories that everybody's heard of. Kind of tackling the big ones and the little ones.
It's the first time I've heard him tell a story.
It's got a voice.
It's got a voice, and I'm moving closer to him on the edge of my seat. I want to hear more.
My whole life, people have told me that I have a face for radio.
I just kept
I
on.
heard that a lot.
I just keep just the story you tell.
It captivates you.
You get you involved in it, and you move more to it, and we all can relate to that Holmes County, Tuscarawas. We kind of, it's happening there.
Not far from home.
Yeah, I'd be scared to death if I seen a skeleton hanging in the middle of the
You
woods.
once told a story on your YouTube channel about a gentleman that had a dog, and his wife or fiance, I believe, was left
back in England.
back in England.
Yeah, that was a really cool story when I found that one. He was an early settler in the colony of Virginia.
Right.
And had this dog, and nobody knows exactly what happened to him. He was kind of traveling through this, uninhabited area. They don't know if he ran into natives or some type of robber, but he disappeared, and his fiance hadn't heard anything from him for years, and so she came over and was looking for him. And by the time she got there, there was this legend about this dog that would appear along this kind of lonely part of this road up through the mountains, and she went up there, and I think somebody took her up there that knew the area, and this kind of ghostly dog appeared to her, and she recognized it, and ended up leading them to a grave, where there was a dog and human remains left behind there near the side of the road. But yeah, a cool story.
Yeah, real cool story.
Man's best friend.
Yeah. I'd tell anybody, go check out his YouTube channel and listen to some of the stories. There's a lot of history there, a lot of things that we just didn't know about areas. And when you hear, like Doug said, about places right around here, some of that story you just told happened in Coshocton County, and so kind of cool to hear.
That Ohio history is near and dear to my heart, and it's amazing to me how much people don't know about where they live and things I didn't know, that I never learned growing up. And so part of the reason I want to put it out there is I feel like people deserve to know these stories. These stories need to be told.
Yeah, definitely some interesting stuff. I would tell anybody, if they want to be entertained for a little bit. Everybody gets on their phone and listens to other stuff. This would be kind of fun to listen to.
Definitely.
And he's definitely got quite a few more stories on. You say you're probably up to 50 now, huh?
Yeah, we're getting up there. Working on my first multi-part story, taking a couple of videos to tell it, but it's some West Virginia history, kind of in the same vein as the Hatfield and McCoy feud type of thing. A place called Booger Hole. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, what a name, right?
Yeah.
A place like that better have a good story.
Yeah, it better. American Mythology, Luke Boserman, Dr. Luke Boserman. You tell some great stories, and it's good to see. I knew you when you were a young guy. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, good to catch up. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, folks, we're going to take a break and pay a few bills. You're listening to Southeastern Ohio's Outdoor Show here on Highway 103. How can folks, if they would want to get in touch with you about telling some history they know, or there is quite a few people that's done genealogy and different things throughout Ohio, and there's still some great stories out there, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah, if they would like to reach me, if they go on Facebook, there's an American Mythology Facebook page. And they can just send me a direct message that way. I'm active on there and check that frequently, and I've had some good stories come across my table that way.
I bet. So, you do have a voice for radio, that's for sure. That's you definitely captivate people with your voice, that's for sure. I wish you the best of luck. I know. Have you got to go hunting yet this year?
I'm trying to eat some room in my freezer first, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
That happens. Anyways, well, I know your dad got one. I want to congratulate him the other day. He got one that looked like it was an old brow. It needed a buck that probably needed to go. So,
yeah, he'd had his eyes on that one for a while, I think.
Yeah. So congratulations to Tim on that. Hey, great again to have you on the show. I'm sure Brenda will share some information about you, and it'll be on our Facebook page. Yeah, it's already there. See how quick she is? She's good at that. We did pick on Don, so I don't have to do that again, right? No? Okay. He'll be back. He had an assignment tonight and a previous appointment, and he's taking care of some things. I don't think he's really checking out nursing homes, so... Now, we're going to have a tip of the week, but Luke's got a tip of the week for us, too.
Yeah, if you're out hunting and you run across a skeleton hanging in a tree, find a different place to hunt.
Yeah. No doubt.
You may want to leave that area. They're taking it pretty serious.